Hey, what is up everyone? Kieran here bringing you another video, and this was actually on request on my gold making guide. Someone requested that I do a updated crystal guide. As far as crystals, I wanted to more so touch up on these new kinds of crystals that we know as the Dyad Niveots. These are the blue crystals which are basically superior in every way to what we previously had. So what these crystals do, for one, a lot of people are kind of curious about how it has the two stats and things like that, and how it binds and all of those. So what these are is they're basically the step up from the green Niveots that we know. However, let's say that you make one of these red ones, which I'll go over how to make them soon. These red ones are going to have a main roll stat of what we're used to, right? So this right here is a focused Niveot, right? So if we compare that to a focused Niveot that we have right here, as you can see, 1.78 times damage on enraged BAMs. This does 1.88, so it is superior in the baseline roll, but not only does it have that, it also gains this secondary effect. These are completely randomly generated, and I'll show you that whenever I craft one for us today. So the secondary roll is actually the counter, not the exact counter, but it is the blue. So if you're crafting a red, it's going to give you a blue effect. This means it could be something like a small effect of a hardy, decreasing damage from monsters. It could be something like gaining a shield when you get KD'd. All of these are completely random, and that's why it's very, very hard to actually get properly rolled ones of these. Like this one, for example, is awesome. I use it in my PvP set, actually. Grievingly Swift. So for PvP, not only do I get combat movement speed, which is higher than the actual one, which is 16, so it all jumps up to 18. I also get 28 mana when I'm being hit by a player. It's rather amazing. Alright, so to kind of go over how to craft these, how to get these new crystals, you're looking at this item called a Dyad Niveot structure. You obtain this by getting crystal boxes. If you're level 65, you've probably run RG, you've probably run BR, or you've probably done your weekly bonuses to where you get these crystal boxes. Whenever you open these, it's a completely RNG chance to get a Dyad Niveot structure. And no, they're not even buying on equip. You can't even buy the Dyad Niveot structures straight off the broker. So whenever you open up these crystal boxes, you get one of three things. Or, well, four things. You either get the empty ROM structure, which is just vendor trash. Pretty sad whenever you get those. You get the Niveot structures, which this can be used to combine cruxes, basic cruxes, into getting a updated, or hoping to get an updated normal or Niveot. Then lastly, you have the 100% guaranteed to succeed Dyad Niveot structure. For those of you who don't know about fusing crystals, if you open up your inventory, you're actually going to see the fusing crystals on this bottom right here. First, I'm going to show y'all how it works with the normal cruxes. So we're just going to put in, and it doesn't have to be all three of the same because the end result is RNG regardless. So 3 of these, if you put in 3 normal cruxes and fuse them, you're just going to get a new crux. You won't be getting a chance at a Niveot. The Niveot structure will give you a chance to upgrade to a Niveot. So then it just goes through a basic thing like this, and most of the time you're honestly going to fail. I can kind of show y'all what is the active... Oh, wait. Well, we just wasted that. So perfect. I got a fine glistening crux. As you can see, you're guaranteed to get one. You're guaranteed to get one if you fuse 3 of the same normal ones, but then you have a chance of failure if you're just trying to upgrade with a Niveot. Boom. I got a fine threatening Niveot right there. Moving up, we have our Dyad Niveot structure. Dyad Niveot structure is a guaranteed to succeed, but you have to use 3 of the color cruxes that you want to use. So me, for example, I'm going to be putting in that threatening one that I just crafted, a pounding one, which I'm not going to really need, and then a swift one, which I got actually from opening those crystal boxes. And then we hope and pray to the RNGesus that we get something decent. So right here, I got a protectively bitter Niveot. Another bitter one is definitely not bad at all. Bitter is actually one of the crystals that you're going to use for any kind of PvE content that you're going to be doing. So I wouldn't call this very bad at all. However, let's say you keep getting bad luck with your Dyad Niveot structures. You can actually combine 3 of these, if you wanted to, into one, basically one craft, and it will re-roll it. However, granted, it's still RNG. Touching back on the idea of it being the normal crystal or normal roll, 1.5 times crit damage when attacking from monsters from behind, but then the blue one of resisting crit hits when under 50%. As you can see, that's how that works. You can find several different kinds as well. Not only are there red ones, you can do it the same with the blue ones. Let me show you here. This has been my luck so far with my blues. They're not very good. So there's those. There's a forceful one as well. That one's actually really nice, but sadly I don't actually use it on my Berserker. But so once again, kind of backtracking to how to get the crystal boxes. Whenever you get these, it's a pure RNG chance. There's no slot choosing or anything like that. It's just, hey, what do I get out of this? In my experience, it's about 5% chance to get a Dyad Niveot structure. A couple more things about the Dyad Niveots. These do not break. You don't need crystal binds if you had a full set. Granted, getting a full set of these crystals, that's actually perfect enough for you not to wear a crystal bind. Good luck, and you have a lot of money. But otherwise, overall, Dyad Niveot structures are the end game. You know, this is going to be something that you only put in to your Renegade. The reason why is because whenever you equip these onto a weapon, here, I'll show you. I have this Relentlessly Fine equipped on my Renegade axe, right? Let's use my Ambit weapon real quick. It will not let me use this Grievingly Swift Niveot in my Ambit axe. Why is that? That's because they soul bind according to the weapon that you use them with. Keep that in mind, guys. Do not just go about wasting, your Niveots or your Dyad Niveots, because otherwise you're not going to be able to remove them. The best you're going to be able to do is get 2 other of the same kind and re-roll it. Alright, then the second half of this video is going to be going over kind of what people want to be using for PvE, mainly PvE, because Berserker is kind of an awkward PvP crystal setup. So typically in PvE, guys, you're going to be wanting to use full hardy Niveots. This is flat damage from bosses, normal monsters, minions, everything. Flat damage decrease there. And then for your crystals, this is for classes that are heavily reliant on crit. This is going to be your classes like possibly Slayers, Berserkers. I would say Reapers use a little bit different, and Warriors definitely use different. Sorcerers use a little bit different, but there's only one real thing that they change. Savage Niveot, crit multiplier from behind, hands down, applicable in PvE and PvP. This is a must-have Niveot on any class. Carving. Carving is where you can maybe go against it on classes that hit a lot, and at that point you would want to be using a forceful, because that's going to give you a constant power increase which is increasing the damage of all those small hits that you do, rather than relying on big crits like a Berserker does for PvE. Bitter. Another thing every class should be using. This one, on the other hand, is only applicable for PvE. It does not work on players. Standard crit multiplier across anything. Any normal monsters, any BAMs, any minions, as long as you're attacking from behind, you are getting a crit multiplier. Focused. Focused is a really good one that can be interchanged at points, or depending on what you're fighting, because focused strictly applies to enraged monsters. This means whenever the boss is acting faster than usual, for those of you who were around in the Queen days, well, you know, you're probably not watching this if you're around in the Queen days, but under, you know, or she was pretty much always enraged. Lancers can infuriate them. You know, certain bosses in SC or Skyship or whatever, the Sky Cruiser, get enraged at certain percentages, like 30% on the second boss. But typically, this is the highest crit multiplier Niveot that most of the time is applicable. Most of the time, bosses are enraged in some fashion. You can exchange this for a pounding. You can exchange this for a heck, if you wanted to, like forceful and keep the carving on there. This is the one that you might kind of interchange, to be honest. Kind of a quick overview of PvP crystals. Typically, every single class is going to either be using four Fine Relentless or 3 Fine Relentless and a Grieving. Grieving is given to give you mana every single time that you get attacked by a player. It's great for healers, great for berserkers because it applies also when you block, great for lancers, you know, everything like that. Savage, once again, hands down, have to use it. Cruel, this is for classes that can KD. I've seen Reapers use it, I've seen Slayers use it, I've seen, well, Berserkers, you should use it. This gives you a crit multiplier every single time that you KD someone. This means if you're single tapping your Thunderstrike, you're still going to get a 0.48 crit multiplier for 8 seconds. Pretty strong. Virulent, same thing. Reapers, Berserkers, Slayers, I've seen them all using it. Berserkers, I highly recommend it. Anytime you crit someone on your KD skill, this means your Thunderstrike, this means your Flatten, this means your Tackle. Everything that KDs someone and you crit on it, it will apply a poison effect on them, which does about 1.5 damage every second for 4 seconds. 6k damage is not something to overlook. It adds a lot of damage and it goes through defense. Grievingly Swift Niveot. This is going to be your run speed. Most classes you do want to use this. If you're a healer, if you're a berserker, if you're probably not a warrior, if you're a class that has a ton of mobility, you probably don't need to use a swift. And it's mainly for chasing people like healers and 3v3. Otherwise, you would want to use something like a salivating. Salivating, this is applicable for any class that hits a lot and needs mana in PvP, because anytime you attack a player, it's going to restore MP to you. So Lancers, Warriors, Slayers, Berserkers, even in solo Q3s, you're out of mana all the time, and that means that you're not being effective. You don't want to have to sit there auto-attacking people. Salivating Niveot is the way to go whenever it comes down to that. You can use things like your carving. You can use things, well, mainly just carving is about the only one that you would kind of switch out. Forceful for sorcerers, warriors, things like that. Even slayers on occasion. But that is the crystal setup that you typically want to use. Most people, by the way, griefing is still more powerful than going with straight power. However, I run a hybrid of 2-piece griefing, 2-piece carving. The only way to obtain griefing and indomitables now is by actually doing your alliance dailies and buying them from the alliance vendor. Alright guys, I don't want to keep this video too long, so thank you all for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Thank you very much for sending the suggestion in from the gold making guide to make a video like this. I thought it was a good idea, and that's why I want to make it. Alright guys, thank you all for watching. If you found this informational, please make sure to give a like, send it to your friends, link it all around, and yeah. Follow me on Twitter at Kilrian, because anytime I start to stream or upload a YouTube video, it's going to be posted on there. Catch you later, guys. Thanks for watching, and y'all have a good day.